You can read even on your Ghana web every day. Who is a knife? Count. Am I out of stupid jealousy reasons? Will be out of jealousy. Everyone cried in your west. Farmer who read it. Farmer butcher wife. Farmer butcher son. Farmer butcher this. Many of them. What about witchcraft related? Will be far about what it's part of it before. Several of them. Now it becomes notable. It becomes prominent. Say soldier new uniform, military uniform, and then a story never. And indeed. You could see it next in life or magazine.
Okay.
Some of us that time can say the person in your name, you're not even for the first time. Lo and behold, fruit to the wedding. Don't try to almost check it. They've done something before. But even with that, the investigation in Ghana, we lack and we are short of investigation processes. We know information that the process of information, that's the country's problem. It began to be no free. Because by the judiciary now, soldier near will great you. Now on the duty. Police near will great you duty. Now on the OB exchange in the case of armed robbery, gunfire to gunfire. You're Chinivia, Optimi. No police now at police station. Now I'm actually doctor suspect. Are you stupid? What do we actually? I'm a police no true police.
About also a suspect.
Oba, now police docket. Who could be their suspect? Now they come out to the general. Now they come out to the general. They are suspect. They are saying they wait for advice. So Ghana problem has to do with the judiciary and the terminology and the investigation gathering as against the investigation processes by the police. It's a problem. Will be Kumobi also because we be Kumobi. Now I can say I'm here. You have 2 days not setting with police cells or back court. Then we have lawyers, human rights activists, no matter court. But then we are going to compare countries from countries. Why am I justifying saying Ghana could be better than a country like Senegal or 1 record or 2, not more than 3 murder cases a year. Senegal, African country. No more than 2 to 3 murders a year. Senegal will be the longest time I will be 10 hours the person is arrested.
10 hours.
The longest.
Oh, Senegal.
One for Senegal is Senegal will be how many hours? The longest 10 hours in Metro. 10 hours. Against La Côte d'Ivoire, or war reached. How many times and about Côte d'Ivoire there is newspaper says we about the Obi Tim Tiagana or to chop knife and then can't tell us no they are shit. A crime. Is that also not the matter? Nipa Tim can get no more police in no more. Nipa Tim can get no more police station, no more national. Nipa can no more social media. These are the prominent ones because they are uniform men and women. But young cat the ones now, the city villages and kind of fear a child.
That was attainable or possible. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to school, but I did, and it proved to not be so scary. So
wonderful. Well, I'm so happy for you. I really am. Since you have an international platform right now, you're speaking to who knows how many millions of people. What would you tell them about what you love about the University of Mary?
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't live anywhere close to it. So what really stuck out to me, was times he was asked on how he was going to respond to this.
And here's, I guess, the 3rd time. The first voice we will hear from yesterday's news conference is reporter Craig McCarthy of the New York Post.
Circle back on Marcia Josie's question. So you said you supported the sanctuary city laws because it will allow people, undocumented or what have you, to come forward to deal with police and go to court and do those things. Do you fear this kind of deportation or detaining of a kid who was doing the proper thing, going through the court system? Do you think this will motivate them or push them to not go through the proper channels?
The sanctuary city is not a law, it's a concept. You're in the city, you have the right to get the things that your tax dollars pay for. When someone buys a loaf of bread, they pay taxes. So with those tax dollars, they should have a right to have their child educated. They should have a right to go to the hospital if they're sick, and all the other things that I've stated over and over again. So your question is, do you think I think it would discourage? No, I don't. We don't know what happened in court, what caused this action, and you have to speak to the federal authorities. I don't know how I can be any clearer. Federal authorities handle ICE. I don't control the borders. I must make sure people who are in this city receive the services that they tax dollars pay for, and that's what we do every day.
Well, that was quite an answer. Let me pick up on a couple of things within that. At the beginning of the answer, he said, first, the sanctuary city is not a law, it's a concept. I wish we still had the law professor from the last segment here. But isn't sanctuary city a law in New York?
It is, in fact, a law. And, the reporters pressed his spokesperson about this after the press conference, and the answer that he gave was, well, it's what the mayor meant was that, there's actually no mention of the word sanctuary city, but I'm not sure what the mayor meant by that. What's interesting about what he said was he was using this idea that undocumented New Yorkers pay taxes, and that entitles them to these services of going to school, of going to the hospital, of being able to report crimes. And that is an argument, but the real motive to install these protections so that people do not live in the shadows. And not having these people live in the shadows is not only to protect them, but it's to protect all of New Yorkers. You know, like the common example that's often given is, suppose someone has some kind of illness. Suppose it's a public health threat. You want that person to feel confident enough to go and seek help, and that protects, you know, that protects the broader community.
And the mayor did.
Caller number 22 right now at 1-855-475-1010. The Mets Turning Point of the Game, sponsored by Riverhead Building Supply, with